Ubuntu, and welcome to Revolt Update. My name is Pt1, an Ambazonian activist.
Nothing no to walk, people just to suffer. Picking there for boom, Papa put your hands on me. They want know the waka, Sibolo know the waka. Before it gets too late, Papa put your hands on me.
Thank you once more for joining me on this episode of Revolt Update. And if you like my videos, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I would like on this episode of Revolt Update to zero in on the 87-year-old octogenarian dictator of French Cameroon, Paul Biya. This individual has been in power now in French Cameroon for over 42 years, and within which 37 of those years he has been president, and formerly he was prime minister before French Cameroon still. During his rule, he has also illegally occupied Ambazonia, the former British Trust Territory of the Southern Cameroons. Now, President Paul Biya was at the Paris Peace Summit recently, and let's watch.
Mr. President, if you can speak in the mic, please. No, speak here. Yeah? No, it's okay. It's okay. Speak. We can hear. We can hear. Yeah. Speak here.
Understand me? So I am completely embarrassed.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, Mr. President. I know you are a president, but here we are all equal. If you don't mind, I hope you don't mind. This is civil society organization. For a moment, to our bosses.
There is an African saying that goes, if a madman goes on the street wandering and misbehaving, it is his kinsmen who bear the shame. This particular adage is very, very typical of the nuisance President Paul Biya of French Cameroon demonstrated during the Paris Peace Summit recently. Not only were his countrymen, the French Cameroonians, embarrassed, Mr. President Paul Biya himself felt embarrassed. That is how ugly this 87-year-old dictator, who have so far slaughtered over 15,000 Southern Cameroonians or Ambazonians today, felt about himself and his participation during this peace conference. But let's take a quick analysis of why he was there in the first place. At a peace conference like the one that was going on in Paris, what is the position of an 87-year-old octogenarian dictator who is actually conducting a genocide on the people of Ambazonia? As much as this brutal genocidal dictator embarrassed himself and French Cameroonians, it is also a shame to the organizers that in such a conference where promoters of peace were gathering, the devil himself was invited. What role was President Paul Biya to play in such a conference? To better understand why such an evil human being will be present at a dinner meant for the saints can only be explained by Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, as well as Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations. These two individuals for the greatest time have been working so hard to cleanse the image of this 87-year-old brutal dictator who is half demented and cannot even remember his own name. This is not me saying. We have seen this grandfather fool around in public, not knowing what he was doing. Thank God for his wife, who is much younger and could still guide him around. It's not me saying this, it's all on video. So the shame was not only for President Paul Biya and French Cameroonians. It is also shameful that Emmanuel Macron, Antonio Guterres, and any other organizers of this conference saw the need to invite such a person to this conference. But like I said earlier, the reasons for them inviting him over there to attempt a cleansing of his image, which have greatly been tarnished by every human rights record and human rights organizations around the globe. So it was their attempt to make President Paul Biya and Cameroon again welcome back into the community of nations. Even the United States of America recently removed Cameroon from their prestigious Economic Growth and Opportunity Act, which every African country that is prospering have been benefiting to enhance their economies. So Cameroon was recently removed from this initiative due to human rights violations. So President Paul Biya's representation at this Paris conference was just an attempt of Guterres and the French to prop up this dictator so that they can continue to reap the benefits and of neocolonialism within the continent. Cameroon is a staging ground for France for the exploitation of Africa. This is no hidden secret. It is common knowledge and it has been widely reported. This is not me saying this, and I just want to mention that on the record. So France has no shame and continue to perpetrate openly these human rights abuses behind the scenes. I was so disgusted to see Emmanuel Macron walk down the red carpet to welcome this dictator into France himself with no shame. I'm pretty sure Mo Ibrahim was as disgusted as I am, not just with President Paul Biya and what him and people like himself are doing in Africa, but it was a direct hit to the French government and the world leaders who continue to enable these dictators, in as much as the clinging to power of brutal dictators and demented grandfathers is not peculiar only to Paul Biya of French Cameroon. It is also it is highly linked mostly to French African countries. Fellow viewers, let it be on the record that President Paul Biya of French Cameroon, present at this prestigious conference, at the same time when he is carrying the blood of over 15,000 Southern Cameroonians or Ambazonians, where over 2 million refugees and internally displaced persons caused by a war that he declared on the people of Ambazonia or Southern Cameroons, where over 300 plus villages have been burnt down by his military forces, and several hospitals burned down, and priests and men of God killed, both foreign and domestic. And at the same time, when kids have not been in school for over 3 years, I'm talking about over 1 million school children who have not been to school for over 3 years. And more so, the economy of that country have been put in ruins thanks to his inability to respect his territorial boundaries and to continue to prosecute this occupation of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. So we are submitting to the international community, and particularly to France and the United Nations, that their enablement of this brutal genocidal dictator is something that not just Ambazonians frown against, but the whole of Africa, as well as honest French Cameroonians themselves, who do not want the continuation of this regime that have also put their own people in ruins for decades. The African continent is holding every leader that accepts this leader and any such leaders into their countries and promote them, bring them on platform to speak on issues that reflects on nothing but cruelty. It's an abuse to all it's an abuse to the African continent. We have come we have come of age that we challenge and we understand and want to define the destiny of tomorrow's Africa. And the colonial Africa that France continuously wants to promote is something that the entire African continent rejects. And we have seen France's influence in the recent times, whether it's with their pursuit against great Pan-Africanists like the former African Union ambassador to the United States, who has been very vocal in challenging French policies in Africa and French neo-colonial tendencies. Not even neo-colonial. France is actually colonizing African countries as we speak. Colonialism never ended with France, and France continues to perpetrate this genocidal proxy wars in order to carry out the continuous looting of the motherland. So we reject the activities of France in Africa. In Ambazonia, it is worse for those of us Ambazonia, and we challenge France to leave Africa alone and see if the wars that continue to occur will be. France is the root cause of many of the evils that go on in the continent. And we this generation of Africans will not stand by and watch the generations of those who come after us to continue in this slavery. Slavery ended. France never got the memo. We are reiterating to the Republic of France that colonialism ended. This is a civilized world, and this is the 21st century actually. And France cannot continue to behave like they are still in the 16th century. Whether it's with Ali Bongo, Paul Biya, Idriss Déby, all of these dictators that France is enabling, while the resources of Africa continue to fill French treasury. This is something that has to stop, and we will not continue to take it. Ubuntu. Please, if you like this episode of Revolts Update, subscribe to our YouTube channel and continue watching. Send us your proposals on topics you want Revolts Update to talk about, and we will highlight this so that we can continue to inform and educate ourselves and build the necessary momentum that is needed to foster true freedom and independence of our continent.
Now which day this life will change? Now which day the pay will come find back? Now which day man will graduate so get degree and they get work? Now which day will get the change?